You want your edits to look more expensive because at the end of the day, better looking editing means higher paying clients. But knowing 100 different visual effects isn't what makes an edit look expensive. If we take a look at some of the cleanest editing styles on the platform right now, which by the way are all high cost projects, the editing is not overly complicated, but there's an aesthetic and an approach to these videos that feels clean, high end, and people really enjoy this style.
I'm Thomas, I'm a professional editor, and across myself and my clients, my editing portfolio has millions of views. But enough yapping. Here are 5 editing effects to make your edits look more expensive, starting with number 1, first class delivery. You see, there's no point in learning an effect if you don't know how to use it or when to use it or what to use it on. So we're actually starting with something that's a bit more of a concept rather than a direct effect. And what I'm going to teach you now is a really high income skill that's so important for editors today. And this skill relates to the way editors translate information from their clients into visuals that best represent that information.
Let's say I had a video on storytelling and the video is introducing 4 key aspects of storytelling you must understand to get more views on YouTube. You need to be able to take the lines of that script and be able to produce a visual like this. So let's break down the thinking behind a graphic like this and also show you the simple editing effects used to produce this scene. First up, when you look at the line of a script, you need to break down the main concept, how to visually represent that, what could be entertaining for viewers, and how to fit all the information together in a good composition. So our main concept in this example is storytelling, which is why I've cut a book graphic out on Photoshop. And for this example, we can actually just create most of the assets in Photoshop or an image making program, as there's no complex animating. Just a bonus tip when putting your graphics together, you want to match the brand of whoever you're editing for. My brand colors tend to be on the darker side with deep greens and yellows as highlights. So I actually changed the colors of the book with color adjustments to fit with the lighting of my brand. It's these details that really make your edits come together in terms of overall lighting and atmosphere. As you can see, for this element, I simply added lines with a small circle on the end of them and planned out where the numbers and title were going to go for the sake of planning composition. But I'm going to use text inside my editing programs because I want to animate those letters and numbers. So now throw them all into Premiere Pro and keyframe the position of the book to slide in. Pay attention to the keyframes and make sure that you ease out at the start and ease in at the end. I'll be doing this with all my keyframes from now on, so just take note because I'm not going to repeat myself. The next effect is adding the crop effect to the lines behind the book and animating the crop so it springs up from below. I also add a little bit of feather to the crop so it's not so harsh. Finally, text. A simple fade in animation by keyframing opacity with a little bit of movement can go so far. So I have the top title coming in from the top and the smaller part of the title fading in from underneath. As for the numbers, a simple pop-in effect by keyframing the scale to around 110% or something and then back down to 100 works well here. And the final touch is this light ray overlay that I grabbed from Pexels. I simply went in the Lumetri color tab and played around with the warmth to have it suit the lighting a little bit better. Simple elements, simple animations, but a clean, clear finish. Number 2, max focus. This blur effect that I use in my intro looks great because it mimics the lens blur of expensive DSLR cameras, and it's so easy to do. First up, throw on an adjustment layer and then mask out the middle with an ellipse mask. I think then you need to invert it. Then whatever you have moving around that central position will remain blurred. Obviously, adding smooth movement to your animations will suggest that slick camera movement. Bonus tip.
A bonus tip for smooth camera movement is to also use it for A-roll too. You see how I zoomed in now? It's a current alternative to the sudden jump cuts that we've been so used to for years and can give a much smoother feel to your edits.
Simply use the transform tool on Premiere Pro or a form of scaling tool on whatever program you're using, and then create a keyframe, zoom in slightly and change those keyframes to ease out at the start and ease in at the end again. You may want to play around with the keyframe graph here to tweak that movement a bit, but then once you have it down, you can just save it as a preset. And speaking of presets, if you'd rather save a couple hours making them yourself, I do have an asset pack for these expensive effects I've used in this video for just the price of a coffee. So check the link in the description if you're interested. Number 3, articulate.
Now, for those people who don't have a load of B-roll to pile on top of their edit, finding creative ways to use text is such an underrated way to maintain your viewers' attention. First of all, subtitles can be so much interesting than just a boring pop-in. You see what I did there? A simple background with elegant text alongside part of the text being bold or even colored is a great way to highlight important information in a video. And you can do this without a background too. If you're looking for some clean text styles, well, you can try these ones out here.
As for the animation, all you have to do is number 1, edit some movement into your text with transform, just add keyframes to animate the position from a slightly lower to a neutral position. Then second, keyframe the opacity from 0 to 100%. Another bonus tip is to animate a line between text if one keyword kind of leads onto another. Just use the shape tool and keyframe cropping again to get this effect. Number 4, the credibility box.
Now this right here is what I call the credibility box. And hey, I already hear some of you guys saying, oh, it's just a transparent box, bro. And to that, I say yes.
Okay, so for this next part, we are jumping into After Effects and we are going to start with Layer, New, Shape Layer, and then draw with this rounded rectangle tool. Next, you want to click Fill and fill with a solid color. We want to click on Stroke and make sure that none is selected. To get rounded corners, you can expand these options here, go to Rectangle Path and then adjust your roundness. I like around 80 for this. Then you want to click on this icon here under this kind of semicircle thing, which will turn it into an adjustment layer. Head over to your effects and presets and add Fast Box Blur to your shape layer. The second effect we're going to add is brightness and contrast. Now that those are added, we can start messing about with the blur radius and also the iterations. Just play around with those until you build your own perfect credibility box. Put the brightness up a little bit. Finally, you want to head back to this shape layer, click Edit, Duplicate. Then we want to delete the effects from this one. Turn the layer back into a solid, get rid of the fill. So we click on fill, get rid of it, and then we want to turn on a stroke for this one into a solid one. And then we have a stroke here. You can adjust the pixels if you want it thicker or thinner. But then the final step is to press T, then lower the opacity to make it a little bit less harsh on the eyes. And there you go, that is your credibility box. To finish off, I simply added my channel logo and also my kind of view count on the side. And then I rotoscope myself in front so the box looks like it's behind me. Alright peeps, we have one last effect and I call it the background check.
One way to make a scene look expensive is to use textures or movement in your background that feels high end.
Whether this be a bit of noise, slow moving patterns, or adding spotlights, all of these effects add to the elegance of your visuals. To add noise, create a gray layer on Photoshop, filter, add noise, and then play around with the layer types until you get your desired texture. As for moving backgrounds, you can create cool moving animations in After Effects, but I'm lazy, so I just browse sites like Pexels for high-end looking stuff. You can then experiment with these as overlays and even combine them with other graphics you've made to come up with some really good looking stuff. Finally, I really like these light overlays because they just give the feeling of like really nice lighting. Once again, use Pexels or create your own spotlights by blurring shape layers. Play around with opacity and the layer style and then animate them into your composition.
You want to think about the kind of vibes you get chilling in a nice, relaxing, expensive environment. But you won't be chilling anywhere nice if you don't upgrade your editing skills and start bringing in higher paying editing clients. So click here to learn years worth of editing skills in just a few minutes.